to skip ahead to qualifying as we get the rest of the drivers into the session and the lobby all set and the stream all set out to the right places as well. It's round 2 of APPF1 Tier 1 Season 11. We'll be with you very, very shortly for our first sprint round in Austria. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 1 for tonight's dose of racing action. My name is Sumo, and I shall be your commentator, bringing you all of the on-track action the only way that I know how, with as much excitement and enthusiasm as I can muster. I'll get fully into this introduction as soon as possible, but we are going straight into one-shot qualifying, and let us ride on board with, oh gosh, who do we want to ride on board with? Let's go with Lifebout, I think, perhaps. We've got to pick somebody. I can't find him. There's so many drivers sifting their way through. I don't like one-shot qualifying sessions, but here we go. We're watching along with Lifebout as he makes his way through the circuit. He's already way down on his time as well. His teammate looks to be faring much, much better as we go along. Let's run on board with Chris for this one-shot session. If I can get a hold of him. There he is. It looks like he's teetering between ET8 Chris and between Lifebout Finley there as well, as we're going round through sector 2 we go now. Red Bull in the way. Oh, and he's invalidated and spun out of the session ETA Chris is out, and then Finley is going to be looking very good for pole position. Can either of the Ferraris get themselves in? How about Scorenzi in Aston Martin as well? One more corner to go. Very easy to invalidate the lap. Finley across the line. No, it's pole. It's 1 minute 39.74 with Rick lining up alongside him as well for your one-shot qualifying session leading into this sprint round for this evening. There we are then. So the sprint qualifying, the one-shot qualifying session for sprint. It is Finley on pole position with Rick lining up alongside. Then there is Scorenzi and Red Flame Joe on row number 2. Ghost and Jackalacco occupy row number 3. Then there's Lifebout, MX, JBS Stephen Lawrence rounding off the top 10, with Scott rounding off the drivers who finished the lap, and ETA Chris and MCL not able to complete a lap. The SQ from MCL as well. I wonder how he got himself a hold of that one. That is how the 13 drivers this evening line up. We may get a couple more as well as we go on. Hello everybody. It was a very, very quick start to the session once we got going. We will have a chance to have a chat. Don't you worry about that. But yes, we're round number 2. It's APPF1 Tier 1 Season 11. We find ourselves in the Styrian Hills for the first of our 2 sprint events this season, with the second being at Interlagos, which is round number 6. So this is a 4.318 kilometre circuit with a layout that invites side-by-side action via its layout and its corners as well. There are 3 DRS zones that are going to encourage some DRS trains to be formed, meaning that the drivers should be close for the majority of the race, and that will come true as well in the sprint race. I'm sure it is going to be fast and furious around this short circuit. I believe the shortest lap on the Formula 1 calendar, if I'm not mistaken, at least by time. I'm not sure by distance. I feel like there's a track slightly short. I feel like Monaco might be slightly shorter. Somebody can correct me though if I am wrong, of the 2 people currently watching thus far. But formation lap it is. Then all of the information is up on the screen there. We don't want that one. I want the lap data. There we go. And details. So 12 laps for this sprint race. It is going to be, there'll be 1 stop during the race, I think, as well. It'll be fairly equal, I think. I imagine drivers coming in around lap 6 or 7. Finley and MX going on to the softs. I don't know if they actually have to stop. But the mediums are certainly going to be the better tyre. But the McLaren's opting for the soft compound, which is going to be, it's an interesting choice, that is for sure. But poor qualifying from Lifebout and ETA Chris, as Red Flame Joe and Ghost getting themselves disqualified from the session. Looks like they've had a little coming together out of turn number 3 there, and they have found themselves on the grid early, and they're going to be starting on cold tyres. Not the ideal run for them, but it's good to be back as well. Back for some Tier 1 action. It's always fun to come in on a Friday night and commentate for Tier 1 when I can. I can tell you now that I definitely won't be here next week, because I've had to arrange to be working the evening due to appointments in the morning. So sadly I cannot make it unless I get given the day off, so we will see about that. But hello to the 4 people currently watching along as well. And if you want to get yourself involved as well, if you're not currently racing right now, want to get involved, or know anybody who wants to get involved in APPF1 and is currently on the PlayStation platform, and get them into Tier 1, then do so. Encourage them, share it around as well. The more the merrier, of course. We would love to see some more drivers on the grid for Tier 1, as the racing is always good in Tier 1. We always have a great time here as well, and it's a shame to see so few drivers on the grid for Tier 1. This is an awful angle, by the way. Look at that, that's terrible. Let's ride on board with Red Flame Joe for the start of this session. 5 red lights for the first sprint race of the season, and we are underway and racing, and it looks like a great start from Finley on pole position. A decent start as well from Scorenzi, who's challenging into turn number 1 already. There's a few drivers going their way through. MX, I think he might have cut the corner there to get through. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if he's going to give those places back, but he is up into P5 already from being down. I think it was in P7 that he was, as he's going along. Then a few drivers trying to go side by side for the time being, but Finley's got a great start, lovely and clean, able to open up up the gap as well, using those soft tyres to advantage. Rick under a little bit of pressure here, in towards turn number 4 as they go. The Aston Martin trying to find a way past the Ferrari, not quite able to do so on the back of him, but unable to make any sort of ground as we go along. Opening up the gap is Finley to 1.1 seconds as we go around, and it's already looking like a decent sprint race from here on out, and Finley got a very, very clean start. And let's see, MX, can he charge forward? Can he join his teammate up onto the front? Has he dusted off some of the cobwebs he's had in this game? We will be seeing that, but Scorenzi, the American driver, all over the back of Rick. He'll be trying to make his way up the grid, I'm certain. He's already having a little look, takes a look to the inside of turn 1. Not the easiest place to make a pass. It gets very tight on the exit. It is practically a 90-degree corner as you go through. Meanwhile, Scott's had a bit of an off moment. He's down at the back now, but here comes Scorenzi round the outside of Rick. Going to try and maybe go underneath him if he can. Doesn't manage to do so. Lifebout is up there though in the top 4 now. He is on the back of this battle too, and he's seen blood in the water. He's seen that Scorenzi is a little bit vulnerable, and down the inside goes the Dutchman now. They're side by side through turn number 4 as they exit, still side by side, but the Red Bull's just about got ahead. Can the Aston Martin do anything? No, has to settle in, tuck behind Lifebout, and it is now Lifebout up into P3, Scorenzi down to P4. Rick chasing being chased even as he's tried to keep up with Finley, but failed. 2 seconds now is the gap between Rick and Finley. I don't think there's a mandatory pit stop in these sprint sessions as well, so the drivers are going to go all the way onto these tyres as well. Will the mediums come back at them though, with the soft runners having that shorter tyre span, or tyre lifespan at the very least? We'll see over the next few laps or so, but this is a fight we're keeping our eyes on here as Lifebout now pulls to the outside. Very easy overtake. The DRS is now activated, of course, and there's going to be a lot of this evening. There'll be a lot of DRS trains as we go through. Lifebout up again into P number 2 now. Has Rick got any sort of response to this? No DRS for Lifebout, but he's got decent enough straight line speed to hold on. Meanwhile, Red Flame Joe putting MX under a bit of pressure, trying to find a way around. Wasn't able to on that occasion. Looks to the inside of turn number 6. Unable to find a way through there. Can he do anything as they continue to go around the circuit? Very close trains here. NCO and Ghost having a little bit of a tiff as well. ETA Chris is getting involved too. He is well in there. Defending champion, of course, ETA Chris. Became champion at Interlagos last season after a great battle with his teammate Lifebout and Finley, of course. One of the voted the best rivalry of APPF1 that season, or at least that year of 2023. And it certainly was. I was there for a lot of those races. Those 3 were inseparable on the racetrack at times. Continuing on, Rick searching for a way forward in this sprint race. Sprint race, of course, deciding your position on the grid before the race and getting yourself a few extra points to boot as well. As Ghost and ETA Chris swap places. Chris getting past on that occasion just now. Going through, I'm pretty sure that's how it works with sprint. I don't know, I should probably keep up with these things, but I don't tend to 2-1 format. It doesn't actually say with the sprint format. I can't remember now. Anyway, Lifebout has chipped away a little bit at the time to Finley ahead, but not by too much. Finley just nicely sitting there, uncontested for now. Not worrying too much about the cars behind him, although Lifebout is just slowly grinding away. Scott in the pits, onto soft tyres. A poor sprint race for him. Let's see what else is going on. Here's Red Flame Joe again. Oh, he's made contact with MX, and MX spins into the barrier. Only gets wing damage, but that could have been unavoided. I think that might end up being a time penalty for Red Flame Joe there. After the stewards have had a look at that one, that seemed fairly unnecessary, and MX with no wing has to back out of that move with Ghost, lest he take him out in any sort of incident through there, but that is a huge shame for MX. He's going to plummet down the order now. I think he'll be at the very, very back after that one. That was a huge moment there. Let's see what else is happening. Lawrence fighting for P7 here. He's up there with VT8, Chris, and Ghost as well. Meanwhile, Rick getting close to the back of the Red Bull, unable. The two Dutchmen sat P2 and 3. Rick trying to find a way past, not able to. Scorenzi there sitting in the background too. We've got a lovely little DRS train going on here for this fight for P number 2. And remember, this is for grid position as well as a handful of points for the drivers as well. I think in the top 8. Because that's how it works in real life, right? Pretty sure. Somebody remind me in the chat of how the sprints work again. I can never remember with, at least in APPF1's sprints. Okay, this is a relatively new thing, and I haven't commentated on a sprint round yet in APPF1, so we will see. But Red Flame Joe, 3-second time penalty for track limits. That'll be something we see often this evening, I'd imagine. And Scott and MX are having their own little fight, actually. They've come out near one another, so Scott at least won't be alone. However, he has got a time penalty, and Finley now with a time penalty, and that is not good at all. And I think those soft tyres have started to wear off, and I don't think it was the best choice at all. Look how much Lifebout's closed up. Maybe Finley had a bit of a mistake. I was unable to see exactly what happened, but Lifebout brought right back into this, especially with the time penalty. 3 seconds for everybody with a time penalty thus far. And Finley, has he blown his chance at pole position here? He may be finishing even further down the grid than he would like. It could be at worst P4, I think, if anybody gets themselves out of this race, because Red Flame Joe, of course, has his penalty as well as we go along. So these two, well, Finley, he's bottled it unless anybody else gets a penalty. The lap's ticking down. We're on lap 8 now of 12, not many more to go. And who's round? That's Red Flame Joe. He's round at the final corner, giving it a little bit too much. Lost his front wing, and he's got to go a long, long way to get back to the pits. That is going to be a long and arduous drive to get that car repaired. Red Flame Joe way down the order now, and the fight now is for the lead of this race. And Lifebout's looking to the inside of Finley. There is no love lost between these two titans of the series as we're going along. Lifebout straight past Finley in towards P1, goes all the way around the outside, was way ahead as they went through the corner, and closes off onto the racing line and takes the lead of this race, a position he is not unfamiliar with by any means. He's now got Rick and Scorenzi to contend with. There's not much point in fighting, but I feel like he'll fight nonetheless, tooth and nail for these positions, because if any of these get a penalty, then the race is back on. But currently, Finley's looking at P4 for this sprint race after time penalties. 4 more laps to go. And this is the drama we're watching here. Is anybody going to dip a wheel just that too far away? Or too far over the line? We'll see. Finley not opting to use the DRS. He's opting to stick behind Lifebout. And maybe you do this to slow up the others. No, he was doing it so he didn't have to make the pass in towards turn number 3, because he wants to make it here at turn 4. Down the inside goes to McLaren. Looks for the move. Lifebout holds it in there, though. He's staying with Finley as they go through, but backs out before the next part of the circuit. And now it's Finley back into the lead, at least provisionally, at least on the track. On paper, he is still P4. And if Jacko can close in any closer, then it may even be P5. A few more laps to go. These 4 still inseparable out there on the circuit. Ghost managing to stay with VT8 Chris for the time being as well. A little bit further back, he may even close up on him and get the pass done on the road, but Lifebout down the inside once more takes the place away from Finley again. It's going to be DRS though for Finley next. By the looks of things, as they go down in towards turn 4 once more. Rick nowhere really to go. He's focused on keeping that Aston Martin at bay right now, as he is looking to find a way past the Dutchman there. Lifebound Finley still battling on. It's his best bet, really. If either of these 3 drivers without penalties can get themselves a penalty, then it will dampen the blow that is to come with that time penalty that he managed to get himself. Meanwhile, Ghost chasing down the Red Bull of VT8 Chris. Doesn't need to do too much work there. The time penalties will do all that for him. Although MX and Scott, they have got no cause to not fight one another. Time penalties are not going to affect their races with each other, as they're both on equal terms, so they are fighting for position down there. Whereas these 4, really the fight's between Lifeboat Rick and Scorenzi. Let's see. Lifeboat closing in. I don't think he's going to go for the move on this lap. If he's going to go for it, he's going to do it on the last lap in towards turn 4. That is probably the most sensible place to make such a move around this circuit. What is with these camera angles at the moment? What's the guy got to do for off-board camera shots, eh? I don't want any onboards. These onboards are awful. There we go. Penultimate lap. Round the final corner comes Finley. And we've got 1 more lap left of this sprint race here in Austria. Who is going to come out on top? Anybody going to get themselves a penalty? It'd be silly to. Rick has a big moment at turn 1. Looks like he got too much curb there and went down almost toward the inside. Speaking of, Lifebout down the inside, gets halfway ahead of the McLaren, but the McLaren's going to continue to fight this back as Finley gets a better exit slightly, pulls into the draft of the Red Bull now toward the outside. It's going to fight it all the way to the bitter end. Here's the McLaren. Lifebout slowly backs off a little bit, tries to get a better exit as they go. Smart racing between the two, still side by side they go. Lifebout round the outside, and the McLaren sticking it in there though, keeping it going. Scott is round at the first corner. Lifebout into the lead of the race. They've got 2 more corners to navigate now. This race looks like it's going the way of Lifebout, and it looks like it's going to be pole position for the Red Bull driver. 1 more corner to go. Don't get a penalty right now. That would be the worst. Across the line they come. Lifebout is going to be your man on pole position after the sprint race and taking home the maximum points this evening for this first of 2 races for you this evening. Ghost gets himself in a P6 after penalties, getting ahead of ETA Chris. Then there's Lawrence in P8. JB comes home P9. Then there's MCL P10. And then it'll be MX, Red Flame Joe, and Scott as well. Was Scott having an incident? Was it of his own doing? Did he come together with MX? I'm not sure. Lifebout driver of the day on that occasion according to the game. And these are the results then after the sprint race. It is Lifebout who takes the top spot, with Rick and Scorenzi flanking him on the podium and making up the first row as Rick, with Scorenzi and Finley making up row 2. Then there'll be Jackalacco rounding off the top 5. Then there's Ghost, ETA Chris, Lawrence, JBS Steve, MCL, MX, Red Flame Joe, and Scott M89. That's how they're going to line up on the grid. Should be an interesting evening of racing. I would apologise if you hear me sort of sniffling or perhaps coughing. Perhaps I am a bit ill. I've had a bit of a head cold the last few days, so I've been struggling with that. So if I go silent at any points, I am probably I'm trying to look for the word for it now. Blowing my nose. I was going to use a fancier, bigger word, but I couldn't find one in the time, and the silence was building. But if I do go quiet, that is what I'm doing, because it is very hard to breathe and difficult to commentate with a blocked nose as well. Actually, as I have just learned. But let's take a quick overlook at the standings then as we go into this round. Let's find those. Race stats, race results, standings. Here we go. So the Lifebout is currently your leader, 20 points to the Red Bull driver leading the way in the championship. Then there's Finley in P2, just 4 points behind. And then 2 points behind him is Red Flame Joe. 2 points behind him is Ghost. And a point behind is ETA Chris. And then they continue to drop down 1 point with Scarenzi in P6. And there's Rick, MX, Speed Alcoholic, Jackalacco, MCL, Lawrence, Lapis as well. Then there is Tier and RJ Blair tied on 2 points of Tink. Out of the, well, not currently scoring, but his number's P16 nonetheless. Then Red Bull lead the way on 31 points. Alfa Romeo 5 points behind them on 26. 2 points behind is the McLaren duo. Then there are the Ferraris of Jacko and Rick on 15 points. 3 points behind that are the Aston Martins and the Alpha Tauri. These team on 11 points. 5 points for Alpine, 3 for Williams. 2 points for the Mercedes team and nil points for the Haas Formula 1 team. Let's get some information up for you for the race. And I don't want telemetry up. Decided it doesn't look great. But it's a majority of drivers then on hards, the top 9 on the hard tyres. MCL opting for the medium. Then there is MX on the soft tyre, Red Flame Joe on the hards, and Scott on the medium tyres as well. We've got 36 laps of racing here at Austria. Those will tick away very, very quickly. It will fly by, but this time we've got mandatory stops. And it's a Dutch front row lockout as well. Lifebout and Rig occupying the front row. Fierce competition out here in Tier 1. Keep your eyes on Finley. He'll have a point to prove, I think, after this race. Jacko could get himself up there too. Ghost not doing a bad job at the moment. Sat P3, could get himself even further up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's got the line back on. We'll be able to tell from his position in a few minutes. And again with this camera angle. Let's ride on board with Finley as we go for 5 red lights for the feature race here. And with lights out, and we are underway and racing, and it's a great start from Lifebound. Poor from Rick though. Scarenzi going to challenge him in towards turn number 1, looks to go around the outside again of the Dutchman, doesn't able to do it, and now Finley looking to the inside, gets himself into the slipstream of the Ferrari just ahead of him, and gets ahead of the Aston Martin. So I'm really struggling to speak right now at heightened elevation, well, at heightened moments, so I will try not to do that in order to keep this a coherent stream this evening. But a lot of jostling for position as we go along. MX gets past MCL, they're battling along there, going for the soft tyres again. Gonna try a soft hard strategy, I'd imagine, from MX. A different call from most of the drivers here. They all opted for either the mediums or the hards, but MX, the only driver to go onto softs. I mean, when they're available and fresh, you may as well give it a go as they go through. MX gets up another place, up past Lawrence as they go. Lawrence then passed by MCL on those medium tyres. Nothing doing there as they go through. Just the grip on those softer compounder tyres really showing itself through there, and Red Flame Joe might even have a go if he can get a decent run on the AlphaTauri. Not quite. Let's see Finley making his way past, looks around the outside of Rick, goes all the way. They're still side by side, a little bit of contact as they emerge from the corner and unable to go through. Perhaps the contact slowing down Finley just enough. Good evening, Bumblebee. It's nice to have you back in the chat. How are you doing, my friend? They are joining us nice and early on lap 2 for the second race this evening. We've just had a sprint race to decide the grid, and now we are underway and racing here for the main event, of course. And MX, he's down. Oh, he's round again, round at the final corner. What has happened to MX? Has he got wing damage? He does not have wing damage. No, I think he's just gone round. I don't know whether it was on his own or not. Meanwhile, Rick, with the DRS assistance, gets past Lifebout. Now Lifebout's under pressure from Finley as well. Side by side they go, emerging from the corner and down towards turn 4 they go. Lifebout loses 2 places in one corner. Very easily done. Ellie cheering on Scorenzi in the chat. He is doing well in P4 at the moment. He's well in this battle as well. There's going to be a lot more of that with the DRS trains that are going to form at this Austrian circuit here, but the hills are well and truly alive with the sound of these V6 hybrid engines. A bit sick, says Bumblebee in the chat. How's everything over? You know what, I'm a bit sick as well, to be honest, but I'm still here providing you with the best commentary that I can for this race session. And what a session they're putting on for us here already. All of the drivers, apart from JB and MX, occupying this train, but now JB joins back. So a 12-car DRS train after 4 laps of racing, and I'm sure that this is going to be the continued story for this Austrian Grand Prix, even when the pit stops come in. But then there's Finley down the inside of Rick, gets the job done. Finley back into P1. Scorenzi going for the move now as well on Lifebout. Lifebout just about holds him off as they go through. Finley and Rick still battling away. He's got to worry about 2 cars though, does the Ferrari. He's got to look ahead and behind him as they go through. Holds on for the time being. Doing a decent job to stay with them is the Aston Martin. Lifebout, Rick, Finley, all veterans of APPF1. Scorenzi new to me, so as far as I'm concerned a newbie, but doing very well for himself here in Tier 1. Can he continue that trend in this race? Can he progress, get on the podium perhaps as they go through? Red Flame Joe sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 6.981 as they go along. Ghost is on this train as well. They'll be battling. Get well, mate. Always a pleasure to your streams and comms. Thank you. Yes, I'm hoping I'm getting better as soon as possible. But Rick now down the inside. Finley goes up and under him. No, Rick goes a little too deep. Rick, unfortunately, suffers the consequences of Finley's great defensive driving. But down the inside goes Rick once again. Unable to do it. The McLaren just carries that little bit more speed. Going through, able to fend off the Ferrari's advances on this occasion. Lifebout coming under pressure. Scorenzi still staying with him. He's keeping him honest. He's staying in the mirrors, right in the diffuser of that Red Bull, and is not letting him go at all. These drivers all incredibly close. 5 laps. We're about to count down onto lap number 6. 31 laps left to go. There's a long way left to go in this race. We will see what is going to happen. These drivers all incredibly close. Who is going to make an attack? Who is going to launch it to the inside of turn number 3? Who's going to utilise the DRS and everything that these cars have available to them to their most effective limit? Let us see. As we go through, MX slowly reeling everybody back in, slowly catching back up. I think he's happy that he's not got damage, because that would have been awful for the German driver. Let's see. It's all quiet. They're all in a little train. Nobody's rocking the boat just yet. Nobody's making mistakes. Nobody's getting too close or close enough for that move at least. Going along, Red Flame Joe though, he's hunting down Jackalacco in the Ferrari, coming around the final couple of corners. No way forward for Red Flame Joe. I think the only other, there's now 2 Americans on the circuit. Oh, and there's Scott, he's out of the race, crashed in the background, and we have a safety car. Scott's gone round to the final corner and put it in the wall. Terminal damage for the Haas driver, and that is an awful way for his race to end. And we are under yellow flags. It is a full course caution. The safety car is peeling out, and now we have a moment of respite. We're going to slow this race down. Drivers are going to have to make some decisions. I think the hard runners may stay on their current tyres. I'm not sure. It's very early in the race. It's lap 7, this safety car coming out. MX must come in. Surely he'll pop on a set of hards perhaps and try and go to the very, very end. It'll be a big ask actually, with given how early it is. We'll see what the drivers opt to do. It could be a 2-stop from everybody. The drivers could go on to a medium. I'm not sure. I think it's far too early for especially the hard runners to come in. And there's too few runners on those softer tyres to warrant staying out. But Finley's in. Pit limits are very strict around here. It's choices for the drivers. Look, Lifebout's in. Chris is in as well. They're going to double stack at Red Bull. It's going to lose some time, but not a busy pit lane. MCL's come in quite sensibly. I think that was the best choice for him. He'll go onto the hard tyres for sure. ETA Chris is going to lose out a fair bit of time here in the pits. He's coming out now. He'll be behind MCL, all behind Finley though, but this has definitely shaken up the order that little bit. I think staying out for the hard runners was the better call, as I don't think those mediums are going to go all the way to the end. And you can't bank on safety cars happening either. You cannot do that. Safety cars won't always come to save you. But we will see. Drivers coming around now. We've slowed things down. I'm going to take a moment to just go and get myself some tissue, and I will be right back. Folks, I am back. Just waiting for MX to get himself back on. He did come in and put on a set of medium tyres, as I thought he might. Although, to be fair, I thought he might go for the hards, but perhaps he's going to opt for the 2-stop now. Could be interesting. If we do get another safety car, it's going to mean that those that did stop during this one are going to have it a little bit easier. But if we go the rest of the race without a safety car, could be a difficult one for the Red Bulls and the McLarens as well. But let us see. Rick leading the way. Not shy of leading a race is Rick. He's done it plenty of time. He's won plenty of races as well. Lots of these drivers here are race winners. Rick, race winner. Very good in F2. Finally got himself that F2 title. He's been chasing after for many times. Ghost, race winner. Jackalacco, most recent race winner, as far as I'm aware, on the grid. He won the Tier 2 race at Imola, the opening round, of course. I'm not sure if Red Flame Joe actually has won a race. Lawrence definitely run many races, and I've been there for him. JB's definitely won some races in my time here. Finley has. Lifebout has run many races, as has MCL, ETA Chris, and MX as well. All very proven drivers on the grid here. And we are going to be going underway and racing very soon. Bernd Mailander has peeled away from the rest of the cars going into the pit lane now. Rick has, from the moment the safety car enters the pits, to the racing, well, to the start-finish line to get this race underway once again. He is still going around slowly. Slowly they go. And he's bolted. There he goes. He's gone just before turn number 10, trying to catch Scorenzi sleeping, and he has a little bit there as that gap has opened up nicely. Red Flame Joe and Jackalacco trading places, but they can't do it before the start-finish line. Have they had to give places back? I'm not sure, but Jacko up ahead of Red Flame Joe now as we get this restart underway. And Finley already making up places. He's ahead of JBS Steve from the very start, and he's setting up the move on Lawrence now as they go side by side into turn 3. Lawrence down to P7, Finley P6 as they go through. MCL having a fight as well with these drivers on softer rubber, but Jackalacco and Red Flame Joe going side by side. Red Flame down the inside of Jackalacco and up into P4. MX getting involved in the fighting too. JB losing places. Lifebout getting ahead of Lawrence. These front runners really carving their way through the field already. These medium tyres really allowing the grip to be utilised, and they're getting their way up and carving their way through the grid as quickly as possible. And it's Finley and Lifebout chasing one another. They're both having to dart around other cars to get a chance at fighting each other. And Finley looking like he's already setting up a move on Red Flame Joe. Sets the fastest lap after the restart. Closes in as close as he can to the back of that Alfa Romeo. Unable to make a move here. Looks to do it up in towards turn number 3 they go. Let's see, through turn 2. Outside line for Finley. Red Flame Joe goes defensive. Tries to hold off the McLaren. He's going to go underneath him if he can. Try and get the better exit on those medium tyres. No doing on that occasion. And the McLaren has to sit behind at least for another lap. DRS will be activated in a couple of laps time as well. So there's still plenty of opportunities for these drivers to cut their way through the field. They're doing a great job with these softer tyres, but they are going to have to come in, remember, because I'm 30 laps on, well, I mean, I guess it'd be 20 laps, I suppose, or 26 laps on mediums. It's still quite a stretch, I think. It's still a fairly long way to go, as Lawrence getting passed by MX now. MCL looking to have a piece of the pie there too as we're moving along. Finley and Red Flame Joe finally traded places. Finley went up the inside of turn 1, didn't look back, but Red Flame Joe, maybe he might have another go. Pulls out of the draft, and he's now under pressure from Lifebout. There could be 3 wide if they choose, but no, Lifebout makes short work of Red Flame Joe and continues to apply the pressure to Finley as they go through. Lawrence losing another place now, loses a place to MCL. Careless driving from Lawrence there to be losing all these places as they're going through, but he's on 11 lap old tyres and they are not doing him any favours as he's sat at the back with JBS Steve. Finley now past Ghost, and they're side by side through turns 5 and 6 and 7 as they go through. Finley back into P3, back towards those podium places, and leaves Lifebout with Ghost, who I think Ghost is a very sensible driver. I don't think he'll put too much effort into fighting Lifebout if he sees it's not going to be worth it. The 2 Red Bulls charging forward, both after Finley. I don't think that rivalry between the 3 of them ever died down after the finale of Season 10, because it is still going on between these 3. It all moves all over the place. 3 wide into turn number 3 as they go through. Rick fends off Scorenzi, who had to go round the long way, and he couldn't find a way past, but Finley took care of both of them, and now he's in the lead of this race. Rick's going to come straight back at him though. Rick sees himself with a fighting chance in this race, and he's going to squeeze Finley all the way to the outside of the circuit. Lifebout meanwhile trying to find a way around the Aston Martin as they go through. Scorenzi got not much to fight with those hard tyres, and he's unable to keep Lifebout at bay, who nimbly pilots that car around the Aston Martin. And it's now Finley and Lifeboat chomping at the heels of Rick, who is going to put on the most defensive driving he's ever put on. Remember back in Japan when he held off about 5 soft runners for the final few laps a few seasons ago and won the race. That is the driver they're dealing with here. He can make a car lovely and wide when he wants to, and he's definitely going to try, but it's going to be a struggle with the lack of DRS as they're going along. A lovely gaggle of cars free wide once again as they go towards turn number 3 now, and they're all going through. Finley, the latest and late breakers though, and he goes right up the inside, keeps Lifeboat behind him, gets rid of Rick at the same time, and takes the lead in this race once again as they go through, and he's able to breathe a little bit easier now. ETA, Chris tries to find a way past Rick. Down the inside goes to Red Bull, brakes as late as he dares, gets the job done. Is Rick going to come back at him? No, he's tucked in behind and he stays behind, but down the inside once again, side by side they go now. Those hard tyres are not doing very well compared to these mediums at the moment. They are just struggling for grip out there, and the medium runners back into the top 3 places other than MX, but he is cutting his way through the field as quickly as he possibly can. Making short work of these hard runners were Finley, Lifeboat and ETA. You can tell these 3 are the top 3 of this series. They are fast, they are unbeatable at times as well. Not completely infallible though. I have seen these drivers make many a mistake between each other. It can happen as MX gets past Red Flame Joe down the inside of turn 3. Gets the job done on the exit and is free to chase on after the others. But ETA Chris, this restart favouring him. He was able to get his way right back up into the action. Onto the podium now too. And look, they're closing. They're opening up that gap, I should say, even. Closing off any opportunity that Rick would have to fight back, and Rick's going to act as a little bit of a bottle cap for any faster drivers behind, and he's going to be able to be the driver that cordons off this top 3 from the rest of the grid, so it will be the top 3 and then everybody else behind. Speaking of MX, looking to make a pass perhaps, he's got Scorenzi and Rick up ahead of him. Looking to the inside as the McLaren, not making any moves right now. He's got Red Flame and MCL and Ghost behind him, so he's got to think defensively as well as aggressively. But he's going for the move now on Scorenzi down the inside. Is he going to be done before the corner? He is. Tries to go for Rick as well. Looking to the inside. Scorenzi's going to try and go all the way around the outside and hold the move off. Isn't able to do that though. And MCL sniffing as well. He's trying to find a way through in that Alpine. Is he going to make it 3 wide through the corner? He's not, but he's going to go for the move at least on Scorenzi. The Alpine up into P6 now, ahead of the Aston Martin. This is some great racing between these drivers. Still going at it. The Alfa Romeo's losing out big time between all these other drivers. I think Ghost has kept his line off, you know, as far as I'm aware. I'll have to ask him later, but if a safety car were to come out, it would definitely play into the hands of these hard runners now, I suppose, or of everybody, I suppose. It would just put the level back onto equal terms though between everybody. So this is still going to be fairly interesting, I think, as we go along. But MCL trying to make up moves again, as is MX, trying to find a way past Rick the Dutchman. Side by side they go through turn number 3. We've seen it plenty of times this evening. Scorenzi and Red Flame Joe are trading places behind them as well, but Rick holding off from the German for the time being. MCL tries to find a way through. It goes a long way around, unable to do it. Little bit of contact perhaps, almost sent onto the gravel. MCL not got much battery left to fight with in that Alpine either, so he's going to be struggling in these next few laps. Lots and lots of close racing between these drivers as we go along. It's great stuff. You see all the Carlos Sainz helmet there, I think. Very nice helmet. I do like Carlos Sainz's helmet designs. As we go along, but not much on the creative front, at least, as he didn't create it. But MCL, look at him, and that closing speed, that confidence to get that close to MX. through turn number 1. Meanwhile, the top 3, the 2 Red Bulls chasing after that lone McLaren. Could this be what we see in F1 during the 2024 season? Who knows? Wouldn't it be great to see a McLaren on the top step again? I'd certainly love that. McLaren have been my team for a long time. But MX round the outside. MCL's going to try and get in on this too. Side by side they go, banging wheels as they do. MCL still there. Rick's holding it in though. He's definitely going to keep this one as he goes through. MCL tries to go underneath him now onto the inside once more, but Rick, savvy to it, leaves the room, able to navigate the track well enough to keep MCL at bay for now, but MCL knocking at the door, trying to find a way through as he goes along. Red Flame Joe, meanwhile, has got past Scarenzi, but he's into the pits. It's Red Flame Joe, so these hard runners starting to come in now for their mandatory stops. Here we are. MCL looks to the inside of the Ferrari through turn number 1. It's a tight place to make a move, and MCL just about gets it done, gets the DRS as well. A smart move from the Alpine, but Rick will have one more chance to come straight back at him. Rick down the inside it goes once again. MCL will have the DRS perhaps on this occasion. No, it's Rick's DRS this time. MCL's not got any battery left to fight with. This is a struggle for the Spanish driver and unable to make it, and makes contact with the Ferrari through the corner. And these two racing hard as they go through, banging wheels and hitting each other as they go along. But it means that MX is just off in a world of his own now. Can MX catch up to the front runners? Who knows, but still trading places and fighting are MCL and Rick. And this is inviting Scarenzi and Ghost into this. They're all in, all 4 cars into the pits, one after the other, making their stops now. Ooh, very close for Ghost there, just about stopping the car before he hits the drivers ahead of him. And let's see softs for MCL and a wing change. Interesting. I'm not sure that was the smartest decision. Softs. Maybe it's the only choice he had. Did he start on the hards? Or on the mediums even? He did start on the mediums, so yeah, he had to go to softs then. Should have gone to the hards, I think, and gone all the way. Save those softs for a late safety car, perhaps. But meanwhile, while I've been talking about that, Finley's been absolutely mugged by the Red Bull duo, and the lead has changed. I completely missed that while I was focusing on pit stops in the midfield. But the Red Bulls have mugged Finley and taken away the lead, and Lifebout now leads ETA Chris and Finley. But Finley fighting this one back. He's going to go for Chris as they go along side by side. Poor exit from the McLaren. No, it means he's going to lose momentum down the straight, and he's going to lose out the position. Jackalacco, will he come out ahead of MCL? Looks like he will just about. Although MCL will be on nice warm tyres. Let's see Finley trying to forge his way forward, trying to fight back at these Red Bulls. Let me find out exactly when that move took place. Oh, they were already fighting. It was when they came into the pits. It was down the main straight in towards turn 3. Now we've seen many moves already this evening. So Lifebout gets him before the braking zone, then they go in, and then Chris pipes up as well through the corner, and they both get him in the first corner there. Well, in turn number 1 even, as ETA Chris makes a move for the lead. He goes down the inside of Lifebout, takes the lead as well. Lifebout all the way to the end. He's all over the circuit. What was that about? That could have been dangerous. In 1 minute he was on the far right, and then all the way over to the left. strange tactics from Lifebound. Doing strange things. Maybe some effort to defend, but was he defending fresh air? Who knows, but it's all calmed down a little bit. No, not the drivers aren't all as close as they were in those opening laps. But there's definitely still some fighting going on. Rick and Scorenzi, they're continuing their fight from the very beginning. Top three still fighting. Lifebout all over the road. Driving like a lunatic out there. Going to go for the move on his teammate though. ETA and Lifebout swapping places once again. Lifebout is the lead Red Bull. It does make sense, although I'm sure Chris will want to fight this if he can. Especially to keep Finley at bay as well. Finley will be right in this. Making their way through. You know, Rick, Scorenzi side by side. Rick made the pass, but Scorenzi's come back at him. He's gone underneath. He's got that up and under. And has come back into P6. Now Rick all over the back, but DRS went the way of the Aston Martin, who holds off Rick's advances on this occasion. And it keeps the place. Goes to an MCL. They're fighting as well. A little bit further back, and Finley's come in. There we go. Pulled the trigger on the pit stops for the top four. And this is the interesting part. Softs for Finley. 12 laps is not a stretch for the soft tyres at all. He did it during that sprint race. And he can do it during this as well. Going for the undercut. It's not always that effective at Austria. Not always. Especially if you catch onto it early. But let's see how early it's been there. And Red Flame Joe, could he get involved in this battle and hold up Finley? He's behind him for now, which is exactly what Finley would have wanted. But any mistakes to let him through could be costly. Meanwhile, what is going on? Jack Alaka's got his way past MCL. Up in towards P9. MCL's going to come straight back at him though. Around the outside of the corner. What are the Red Bulls doing? They're staying out. Okay, this is hammer time now then for Finley. He's got to put in the laps, put in the work. Because I really don't think those mediums are going to go all the way to the end. I really don't think they are. And if Lifebound and ETA Chris are, then they're very, very brave or very, very foolish. And they're battling too a little bit. Although Lifebound didn't seem to battle that one too much. He just let his teammate go straight down. Most likely in a party, these two work famously well together. Dominated the last season of APPF1 Tier 1 with their teamwork. And Rick going for the move again on the Aston Martin, unable to get to level with the green car. Going through Jackalaka and MCL side by side through turn 3. We've seen lots of passes there today. It's been a happy hunting ground for many, many drivers during this race. Let's see what they're doing. Then still not coming into the pits. Are they going to go one more lap, or are they really going to try and go to the end? Finley is putting in the work though. He is going to undercut them if they do come in, and maybe that's what they recognise. Are they... Oh, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know the Red Bull's game plan here. Perhaps they're going to hold out on those medium tyres all the way to the end, but could they be entering puncture territory? They've had them on since, what, lap 11? So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 10, that's 25 laps on the medium tyres. And it seems they're already struggling as Chris gone very deep into turn 4. And Finley's just eating away at the lap time here. I think they've made a huge error. These Red Bulls, they should have come in the minute, well, the lap straight after Finley. And they're still staying out. I'm not sure what the game plan here is from the Red Bulls, but I think this is risky. I'm not sure how extreme the tyre wear is. around this circuit. But surely 25 laps is a stretch. Surely. Remaining close to one another, and if they both come in at the same time, of course, then, you know, they'd be double stacking, they'd lose a ton of time. Well, at least one of them would, but they're trading places. All in an effort to keep Finley at bay. Meanwhile, Scorenzi and Rick still close to one another. Scorenzi still behind the Ferrari, trying to find a way past, trying to forge a way into this race. A little bit better. Let's have a look at the penalties. 3 seconds for everybody with a time penalty goes to the uncharacteristic time penalty too. Still they stay out. I think they're going to the end. Oh dear. Keep an eye on those Red Bulls, everybody, because I don't know that they're 20 laps already. I don't know that they've called this right. And Finley has been eating away at that time. Let's see, gap to leader. It's 10.9 seconds now. The gap, and it's continuing to tumble and tumble down. He's pushing and pushing and pushing. Is Finley in this McLaren, and he'll push all the way to the very, very end of this race, I'm sure. And his tyres will be in a much better state than those mediums, especially if they don't come in. They're going to have lost a hell of a lot of time. I guess they have to risk it. They've got not much option anymore. Let's see. It's certainly food for thought on this. If anybody's got any insights into the tyre wear of this, I'd love to know, so we can make a more accurate prediction. I'm just going on what I feel is right, because evidently I don't know that much about the tyre wear. It's been a long time since I've done a race at Austria, we'll say. But Finley passes his teammate now. MX, I don't think it's going to fight this too much. Just going to let his teammate go, maybe even be dragged into it. But 8.4 seconds is the gap to the two Red Bulls. Can Finley close it down in the laps that he's got remaining? He's got 7.5 laps to do it, to close down an 8.3 second gap. If these two working together, I'm not sure, but it's already down by a couple of tenths. It's going to be tight. If it's going to be any time, it'll be on the last few laps, but this is a long, long stint these Red Bulls are trying to pull off here. Those tyres are going to be begging by the end. 28 laps, I reckon it will be. 28, 29 laps even. Almost 30 laps on those medium tyres. I really think it's a fool's errand. They're going to be so awful by the time they get there. And look, Finley already 7.7 seconds. He's closing in on those Red Bulls. He's absolutely chomping away at that time. He's got much more grip, much more ability with those tyres, much more confidence in them. I really think they've made a huge mistake, these Red Bulls. Let's see. Closing down that gap almost by a second now since the last time. Really looked such an interesting race. Meanwhile, Scorenzi, Rick, still close at hand. Ghost is there too now. He's sneaking into the background of their little fight. These two have been at it all race long. Scorenzi has been losing out to Rick, and they've both been chopping and changing places, but Rick's had the advantage for the last few laps. Aston, though, doing well to stay with Rick here. New driver versus very seasoned driver. And we look again, Ghost, another 3-second time penalty, more uncharacteristic errors from the 6-time sprint champion. But Finley, 6.9 seconds. I wager it's close to a second a lap that he's gaining on those Red Bulls. And with them trading places like they are, it can't be helping them. Because they're getting in each other's way. Dirty air and all sorts. And those tyres must be feeling absolutely awful. Screaming they must be. And look, Finley's just reeling them in. Lap after lap after lap. They best hope neither of them get a puncture. They're saving graces. It's such a short lap around here, and there's not too many opportunities, but still Finley closing in. It's going to be tight. Lap 32 of 36. 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 laps. Let's see. Finley can see the two ahead of him, I think. Just about, not quite. He can't quite see them yet. Little lock up there as he goes through. Takes plenty of curb. A bit tentative on the exit, from what I can gather, but he can't quite see them just yet, but they're there. This battle seems to get ever closer. Ghost with his 6 second of time penalties. Not the Ghost that I know. Oh, I don't know. It's getting close. That time's ticking down. It's 4.9 seconds now. Finley can smell the blood in the water. He knows that those mediums are going off more and more and more. MCL and Jacko still going at it as well. Jacko the advantage now as those softs start to come into their dying stages. The last of their good life. You can see them. Targets in sight, and you can see the McLaren just closing them down in the background. 4.8 seconds now as the gap it continues to close as Finley continues his approach. Lap 33 of 36. Surely those tyres have got to be in a sorry state right now. Fair bit of overtake to work with. Finley running on fumes pretty much as we go along, just looking at their data on the wheels there. Let's see where fastest lap is currently sat with. It's sat with Finley, of course, as Scorenzi finally makes a pass on Rick through turn number 6, gets ahead of the Ferrari and now leads this little fight up into P6 he goes. Could be chasing after a possible P5 on the time penalties, but 3.5 seconds now is the gap it's closing. I think Finley will be in striking distance within the last lap, perhaps, as long as he doesn't make any errors. No mistakes from Finley now. This is absolutely the time to get these laps in. It's going to be an interesting round of interviews, especially if these two make it. Lap 26 for these tyres. They've gone a long, long way. Finley has really put in the work to fight them. Meanwhile, Rick and Scorenzi trading places once more. These two fighting. We'll focus on this fight at the moment. It seems to be where the action is. We'll keep an eye on that gap as it continues to tick down. Coming through turn 8 and 9 now, the Red Bulls. And the McLaren not far behind them. 3 seconds is the gap. It's been closing and closing and closing as it's going. Oh, it's going to be tight between them. I mean, Finley will get my driver of the day just for the pure effort alone to try and chase after those Red Bulls, because it must be taking a lot out of him. He must be absolutely sweating in the cockpit of that car as he's going along, putting in quite the shift indeed. But here we go. Scorenzi looking to the outside of Rick. DRS activated. Rick's gonna fight it, perhaps. No, he tucks in sensibly, gonna go for the pass in towards turn 4 if he can. Opens up the DRS on the back of that Ferrari. 2.3 seconds the gap in the lead. To the inside goes Rick now. Easy move back onto the racing line for the Dutchman. Back into P6. Scorenzi has to look at the back of that Ferrari for another lap as they go through. We're coming on to the final lap now. The leaders coming round the final corner. Finley really putting in a shift on those tyres, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I don't know how they've made those mediums go 28 laps. A puncture now would be absolutely disastrous for either of them. I'm not sure if it's going to come. You can see the pair of them there ahead of them. Finley has put in quite the effort to try and close that gap. He's going to continue to do so, but it looks like it might be folly as he's running out of road to get this done. It's 1.8 seconds. Scorenzi passes again Rick in towards turn number 3. Can Rick get underneath him once more? Oh, I'm not sure. He's going to go for it. This is probably his last chance to get a move done here, Rick. Otherwise, he's going to lose out to Scorenzi for P6. No doing. He looks to the inside, isn't able to complete the move. At which Red Bull is going to come out on top with ETA. Chris launch a last minute attack. He's going to look to the outside in towards turn number 8, but I think Lifebout's going to hold him off. I don't think they're going to get in each other's way or trip over one another. But after 28 laps on medium tyres, Lifebout comes across the line with his teammate to finish this race. Finley, what a shift, what an effort from Finley. The gap was down to 9/10. He needed at least 1 or 2 more laps to get it done, but was unable to. But Finley, my driver of the day, just for the shift that he put in to try and catch up with those two. Wow, wow, wow. 29 laps as well for MX. I want to know the percentages of those tyres. Golly gosh. Right, I'm going to get the party set up for interviews while the rest of the drivers come across the line. Oh wait, I need to do it. Need to do it in APPF1 Tier 1 group, don't I? Oh, so annoying. Oh, let me... Sorry to blue screen everybody in this moment as well. Let's get back to the game. Red Bull then on the top. It's a Red Bull 1-2. Dominant in the sprint race. Dominant in the... Well, after a hectic race, at least. Dominant, at least. In the majority of the sprint race after that safety car. Well, the feature race after that safety car as well. But it's Lifebout P1. Top step of the podium for him. Then there is Finley and ETA Chris, who are, well, at least on points. This is the sprint race results. There you go. Hello, hello, hello. Lifebout, top of the step then. Rick and Scorenzi. No, this is the wrong results. Where are my results? There they are. Stupid thing. Right, Lifebout and ETA Chris and Finley flanking him on the podium. Then it's MX and Red Flame Joe as the top 5. Then we have Scorenzi, Rick, Ghost, Jackalacco and MCL rounding off your top 10, with JBS Steve and Lawrence rounding off the rest of the grid, with Scott unable to finish the race after his crash on lap 9 or 7, perhaps it was 7 when he crashed. What an evening of racing, but wow. Looks like we've got our top 3 and MX as well. He's jumped in for a little bit of an interview. Maybe he's just earwigging, perhaps wants to hear it live rather than on the stream. We're waiting for.
Drive better next time.
Are you gonna speak for Finley?
Yeah, you should speak for him if he doesn't join.
Let's see. I'll ping him quickly. We'll give him a chance to come in.
Yes.
Yeah. We tried to decide the win by playing rock, paper, scissors, but it didn't work out.
What did we do?
I didn't do
Oh,
anything, bro.
probably
Just saying.
Chris.
Tell Philly I'm not sorry. Yeah.
Cool, he is on the way. Right, while we're waiting for him, then I'll get started with everybody else. Lifebound then, another win under your belt. It was a decent session. First of the 2 sprint rounds. Then just run us through your evening as you experienced it.
Well, it's a long evening. I have to go to the sprint as well. Oh yeah, the sprint. I just got a really good start. I think I went up to like P3 or 4. Then yeah, I overtook the other guys one by one, and I saw Finley was on softs. I thought his softs would drop off a little late, but he dropped off pretty early, so we got back up, and his softs were pretty bad at the end. So I think we battled last lap. Was a good battle, but his softs were just dead. So
Our battle was better.
yeah, his softs were pretty dead. So I just got him on the inside, and he also had a 3-second penalty. So yeah. Then the race, at the start it was quite, everyone was just battling. I don't know why Finley was battling a lot. It was only lap 3. He was pushing Rick a lot, but yeah. I think I was P3 before the safety car, and I decided to box because, it's a small grid. I figured you can overtake everyone back up again before the pits, which is what me and Finley did. I had to take it pretty cautiously, but I made it through. Then we saw that until like lap 23, basically nothing happened, and then Finley boxed, and then we decided to just do the opposite of Finley and stay out and help each other swap the RS every lap and hope Finley doesn't catch us. In the end, I don't know what the gap was, like 1.4. So he did a pretty good job.
0.9 is the gap.
Yeah, he did a really good job actually catching back up. Good pace from him. And then, me and Chris did the quick rock, paper, scissors. We did it, we had a draw, so we just fought it out. Good battle. We didn't crash, luckily. And, nice, fun race.
I was about to make you crash.
It wasn't the best qualifying though for your Lifebound. I mean, I've definitely seen you put in some great efforts with qualifying, but what was it, P6, P7? During that qualifying lap there? What happened?
Yeah, I basically started the game right before the race, so I wasn't warmed up, and into turn on I just broke way too late, lost a lot of time, and that basically ruined my lap. So yeah.
And 29 laps in total. You and ET8 Chris were on the medium tyres. The one question I had during that entire race was, would those mediums make it? And I want to know, what percentage were those tyres on by the end?
I don't remember exactly. I think like 67 or 68, something like that. It was pretty. I was scared we might get in puncturies, but we were actually pretty safe in the end. Pretty surprised actually.
I mean, seeing Finley knock down that time must have been quite scary, to be honest. He was flying, and we'll talk to Finley in a little bit. Are you hoping to keep up this momentum throughout the rest of the season? Lifebound, hoping to just completely dominate, or if you've got another bottle in you, what's your plan?
I hope not. I don't want to talk too early. I just let's hope.
Oh, let's hope so. Well done today. Another win for yourself. Best of luck throughout the rest of the season. And Chris, well, we've kind of covered most of your race as well with Lifebound, but I guess just I saw that you invalidated your lap during the qualifying for the sprint race, but just run us through at least your perspective from your areas of the race.
Well, for the sprint, I got killed like a bunch of times. I finished P7, and that was about it. For the main race, I just tried to survive, and it worked out, just about.
Yeah, and it was it was good teamwork from the pair of you again. I mean, there's a reason you dominated and closed up the the Constructors' Championship as early as you did last season, and I suppose that's your plan again. But were you concerned at all about how quickly Finley was approaching the back of you?
A little bit.
Yeah, he was closing in at quite the pace. But I mean, defending champion, of course, and it didn't look like it went quite your way during the first round of the season. But are you planning on going after that driver's title, or are you gonna give this one to Lifebout this season?
We'll see what happens. I already got one, so I don't need more.
Oh well, we'll see, won't we?
Any more are just bonuses.
Oh dear. Well, a good race for you again, ETA. Chris, well, at least I won't see you next week, but good luck for the rest of the season. And and Finley, well, first of all, you get my driver of the day today just from the shift you put in to try and chase those two down, because it was very, very decent pace toward the end. But just run us through the race from your perspective.
The race, well, start was fine. I knew I was quite a bit faster than Rick. That's why I wanted to just stay in at least the top two, just so at least me and Lifebar could swap DRS, and then the safety car came out. And when I saw the mediums going 27 laps, it's never happened before that I've done it, so I'm not sure about it. But I remembered back to 2 seasons ago in Austria when similar situation where I went from mediums to softs, same track, and I managed to catch up to Lifebout then, but Chris was there this time to help him out with DRS, and just a bit unlucky. Wasn't sure about some moves during the race, but it was alright.
Yeah, and you got a great start during the sprint race as well, but I noticed that gap came right down. Was there a mistake? Because I didn't see what happened.
Yes, there was a mistake at turn 1, went over the curve, got a warning, and that led to the penalty, as well as losing about 6 tenths.
Oh dear, that'll be why he closed right back in then. But I mean, it was quite the effort to catch up to those two. I mean, you needed probably 2 more laps, maybe even just the 1 more lap to get them. But I mean, you must have been absolutely sweating behind the wheel of that McLaren.
It was alright. I mean, fun race. Some nice battling between me and Lifeboat. First few laps, and obviously the sprint. But yeah.
Well, I mean, your rivalry with those two, I think, will continue on for this whole season long. Are you gunning for that drivers' championship, or are you just trying to get the best you can?
Well, obviously that's the goal, and I'm looking forward to some tracks ahead more than these ones.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fireworks between you three over the coming races, so good luck for that, and well done today as well. Our driver of the day, Finley.
Cheers.
MX, since you're here, you got any pearls of wisdom you want to add in before I close off?
Oh, fuck off.
Very cool. Right, well, that is it, folks. That is round number 2 of APPF1 Season 11. And next week, I will not be here, sadly. Well, unless I get the day off, of course. We'll see about that. But either way, the drivers will be heading to my favourite street circuit, Singapore, for a race under the lights in that amazing street circuit, which actually the map thing is wrong on the graphic there, because it's including the section that was cut out. But either way, I have been Sumo. I'm going to jump over with Ghost on for some ESRL in a few minutes' time, so if you want to join in for that, then you certainly can over on his channel. But thank you also very, very much for watching, and I shall see you very, very soon. I have been Sumo. Good night.
Yeah, bye.